Hi all, welcome to this Player of the Month trading tips video for Hazard and Sterling respectively. I thought I'd cover both of them because while Hazard seems the flat out runner, I thought at least give some attention to Sterling regardless. So if we can smash links, folks, would be awesome. Sub to the channel if you're new. Follow me on Twitter at GIsALegend. All the links are down below for posting the channel and social media links as always. So plenty to cover here in terms of informs, requirements and so forth. Now looking at last year, at previous Player of the Month Hazard requirements, which was FIFA 17, they were mental. Like the Belgium requirements alone were extortionate. It was like you had to basically give up one kind of can't say god tier, like a high rated card. Like for example, you had to give up at least potentially someone like Courtois, Lukaku, someone of that high rating standing, and it just kind of made the SBC crazy. Now I think they're not going to make Player of the Month Hazard this mental. I think they'll, at least if they're going to do a Belgium squad, I think they're going to do at least 4 or 5 Belgium players, and everyone's going to probably be looking at like Vertonghen, Alderweireld, Company, these sort of ratings. Maybe even Carrasco, Adnan, Foot Swap, Januzaj for example. Then EPL, they're probably going to give you like a good 84, 85 rate squad. As long as they don't go overkill, then we should be alright. And if the EPL squad's like exactly 11 but it's 84, 85 rated, then it shouldn't be too bad. If it's like 85 rated, then I would imagine those 86, 87s, people have been talking about, oh, should go for David Silva, be wary. Informs will probably bump up as well. This is maybe when they'll start to look at one EPL inform, or even make sure that the squads aren't necessarily EPL orientated, where if everyone's going to invest in EPL informs, then you've got obviously Lille to consider as well. Sterling, when you talk on him, you've got Man City, you've got Liverpool, you've got QPR, you've got England, so there's quite a bit to work with him as well. But it's, for me, when you compare the kind of two, Sterling I think it's going to be a couple 100k to do, whereas Hazard is maybe 2 to 2.5 times that. I think theoretically Hazard's going to cost at most 500k to do. If you've been prepared looking through cards for Hazard, as I said, if you've got Januzaj right away, that will help you kind of prepare a little bit better. With the Play of the Month though, like I know people will look at like the informs, they'll look at SBC cards. Like for me, Foot Swap Januzaj is a very strong shout for both of them really, because of a number of reasons. Januzaj played in the Premiership, also because Januzaj is Belgian, and so that just pretty much helps you right off the bat. Then obviously EPL informs, you want to kind of look at like Czech, Matip, Fraser, Yarmolenko. It gives you enough depth to already work with. Then obviously I've said to a lot of people as well, look at Bundesliga informs and Ligue 1 informs. Like with Pepe, he's kind of just going up and going up and going up because of the Lille connection, and because people are like, oh, I will buy Pepe, he will be useful. One, he will, if Ligue 1 requires a Lille player and an inform, then Pepe suddenly becomes the most desirable card because he's ticking the Lille requirement. He'll be like the highest rated Lille player, and also he covers the inform requirement. That's where people are thinking, oh, if I invest in Pepe, that is where I'll see the most money. So you've got to be wary. If they don't make it just Lille but they make it Ligue 1, then everyone like Pepe, Lala, Costil, Traore, these guys are the ones that then become just as desirable to buy. And if they're pretty much dirt cheap, like Costil and Traore right alone are pretty much discard, if you're patient enough you can invest heavily in them. Like Paco Alcacer, he's like the SBC card. If you're not going to use him, you might as well put him in and Play the Month Hazard if you want him. With guys like Stark, Gondorf, Sommer, because these guys are the Bundesliga and that's where his brother Forgan plays for, that's where he suddenly has a use. Guys like Zieler, Sommer, Gondorf, I've bought these guys for cheap. And like Sommer I've slightly overpaid at 14k, but Zieler and Gondorf are minimum price. I've got them on bid, and in all honesty, if Bundesliga becomes an option, then it gets interesting. Like Sommer in his own right is going to be useful down the line regardless, because he's an 84 inform and 14k is a bargain. I would assume he'll probably at least go 1.5 to 2 times his value. But guys like Cech, Matip, Fraser, these are the sort of guys that people will just instantly look at and say, right, 84, like if it says an 85 rated squad and you need 2 informs, but it's not just EPL, then suddenly every inform becomes desirable. Then you've also got to remember they might not necessarily just go EPL. Because Hazard is in Europe, they might look at the UCL cards and just make the requirement flat out special. So there is easily ways they can curveball this to make it that little bit more difficult and a little bit more interesting. But remember that the UCL cards, while they are cheap just now, some of the higher rated ones, like your 84s, 85s, they're not cheap. So that is where they can counterbalance it accordingly. So I hope that kind of helps you a little bit. As I said, for Hazard, Belgium won't be like, if it's a Belgium base squad, it'll be like 84 rated. If it's EPL, it'll be like 84, 85 rated. If it ties in his brother, it'll be like 83, 84 rated with the Bundesliga. Legun probably about the same, and then depending where else they want to take it from there. But hopefully you find this useful, folks. As I said, I'm thinking Hazard has it in the bag, but I thought I'd at least cover Sterling as options as well to give you an idea. But hopefully you find this useful, folks. Let me know in the comments down below what you've done for Player of the Month. Smash likes as always, sub to the channel if you're new, and I'll catch you all later.